We're joined from Amman by Juliette Touma, who's the UNRWA Director of Communications. Juliette, first of all, thanks for joining us. What can you tell us about the reports that we're hearing of civilians being killed while simply trying to collect aid? How is this affecting the ability of UNRWA to distribute supplies safely in the region?
Thanks so much for having me. Look, the current distribution that is managed by the American and Israeli governments is dangerous, is not working. It's taking more lives than saving lives in the Gaza Strip. Starving people are absolutely desperate for some food have been killed. We estimate that it could be up to 1,000 people killed since this new flood mechanism started operating just at the end of May.
Tell us a bit, Juliette, about the current conditions civilians are facing. We're hearing that everyone's crammed into the remaining 12% of territory in Gaza right now. So what are the conditions like on the ground for people?
Yes, well, people have been ordered to look for safety, which is non-existent in Gaza once again. And the population of about 2 million people, half of them are children, are crammed in just over 1/10 of the Gaza Strip. And the situation is desperate, to say the least. It's an understatement. I woke up this morning to messages, SOS messages from staff who were looking for food for days on end before they could find a bag of flour. Our staff are fainting due to exhaustion and hunger and starvation while they are on duty. So the caretakers themselves need care now in Gaza.
And you briefly mentioned it there, Juliette, but aside from the day-to-day issues that your staff are facing, what risks are they in, especially in areas like Deir al-Balah, which we're hearing today military operations from Israel have expanded into there as well?
That's where most of the humanitarian presence, not only for UNRWA, but also for other humanitarian organizations, that's where we've been based. We've been ourselves, like the rest of the community, being shuffled around from Gaza City to the south in Rafah, then to Khan Yunis, then to Deir al-Balah. And so we've also had to move. And eventually we've settled, so to speak, in that part of Gaza. Now, it's incredibly dangerous, including for staff who are currently there. I've spoken to one staff member who said that they escaped the shelter. They were displaced too and taking refuge in just a few hours before that shelter was bombed.
UNRWA and your representatives have said that food is stockpiled just outside Gaza. What is preventing it from reaching those who really, at this stage, critically need it most? What needs to change to make that happen?
Yes, we've got just over 6,000 trucks of aid here in Jordan and also in Egypt, full of food that's soon expiring, full of medicines and medical and hygiene supplies meant for the communities across Gaza. There's been a siege since the 2nd of March imposed by the Israeli authorities. And as a result, UNRWA has been banned to bring in any of these basic life-saving supplies into Gaza. And meanwhile, it is absolutely horrendous to watch images of babies dying because of lack of food, and more fragile and vulnerable adults also dying because of severe malnutrition.
Juliette, worrying that in the last 24 hours, 19 people have died from starvation, and there's obviously an escalation in attacks that we're seeing in the last 24 hours. Is this attack and this escalation going to affect the aid that has been sent out? And also, are aid seekers been deterred? What protection is on the ground for anyone at this stage?
Okay, let's set the record straight. There's not much aid going in, huh? And what is coming in is a little drip or drop, huh? We have thousands, like I said, of trucks that must be let in. So the gates must be open. There must be pressure from countries around the world on the state of Israel to open the gates, to lift the siege, to reach a deal, to release the hostages, to bring in a volume of humanitarian supplies under the administration and coordination of UNRWA. And back then, we will have a ceasefire, so it will be safe for us to distribute that aid, just like we did for the short-lived period from January to March earlier this year.
Juliette Touma from UNRWA, thank you so much for joining us.